Today's lesson is going to be in perspective drawing. Perspective drawing is a way to create a reality that shows the illusion of real space using a few simple rules, and it's often used for things like architecture, drawings, for engineering drawings, for design, so that you can create a believable reality and actually see how an object would work in space. We're going to work with a basic cube form. There are three rules in two-point perspective drawing. And the first rule is the horizon. The horizon is a very simple line that runs 180 degrees across your paper. A horizon is essentially where the earth meets the sky. If we look across as far as we can see outside, we will see a horizon line. So the first thing we're going to do is take our pencil and our ruler, and we're going to make a horizontal line that runs across our page from edge to edge. Now, the horizon line can change. We can set it high in our page, or we can set it low on our page. And that changes the view we have of an object. Imagine you're standing on a mountain looking down. The horizon line would be very low, and you would be looking down on the objects. Now imagine you're standing below the mountain, looking up. So the horizon line now raises up your page, and you're looking up at an object. I've set mine somewhere around the middle for today's lesson, just to keep it simple. When looking at an object like a cube, we're going to look at some of the basic lines that create it. The first line is this vertex, or this vertical edge that sits closest to us in space. And that's the first thing we're going to represent on our page. Now, this rule is very important. It's that any vertical lines that we see on our object all run 90 degrees or perpendicular to our horizon line. Now, this is a simple set square, a triangular ruler. If you're fortunate to have one of them, use it. If not, a regular ruler works. And this allows me to sit the base of the triangle on my horizon line, creating a perfect 90-degree line. So I'm going to decide where on my page I want my object to be. I can choose that as my drawing. And I'm going to put my vertical line. I'm just going to kind of lightly draw it in there. And the reason we're going to use lighter lines in this is because there's going to be lots of working lines that we don't need in our final drawing. So we're going to just kind of lightly put them in, and then we can darken them once we get into the drawing. Now, another important aspect of perspective drawing is our vanishing points. A vanishing point is the furthest point we can see as we look into space. Imagine that you're out in the prairies looking as far as the eye can see. And you'll see a road, for example, and it slowly disappears to a point. That would be your vanishing point. Now, today's drawing is a two-point perspective, which means we have two vanishing points, which kind of mimic the two eyes we have. So a little exercise is that you can put your fingers in front of you and stare straight ahead. And slowly move your fingers out to the side while staring straight ahead. And keeping both those fingers in your view. And you'll see as they pull away, they get harder and harder to see. And they'll reach a point where you can't see them anymore. And they should be almost straight out from your body. And you'll just barely see them in your peripheral vision. Those are your vanishing points. So what we're going to do is we're going to mark the two furthest points on our horizon line with two vanishing points, one on each side. We have vanishing point 1 and vanishing point 2. And this is our horizon line. Now, on our vertical line that we've already established, we're going to pick the top point and the bottom point. And again, this is up to you how big or small you want to make this. So I'm going to pick one point about there and one point about there. And that is essentially that line. Now, what happens here is really important, and this is our final rule of perspective drawing, is that any diagonal lines, meaning they move away from us, always go to a vanishing point. And if they're not going to a vanishing point, you've done something wrong. So I'm going to take this point, and I'm going to pull it back to my vanishing point. Top here, back to my vanishing point. Now the other side of my cube is going to go back to the opposite vanishing point. I need a little bit bigger ruler here. And the top one, back to the vanishing point. Now I have this kind of diamond-like shape. And what this is these lines if they kept going into space. So what I now need to figure out is where the edges of my cube are. And again, you'll notice they're vertical lines, exactly the same as my first one. So we go back to that rule of any vertical line needs to be perpendicular or 90 degrees to my horizon. So let's pick it about there for this side. And we'll do there for this side. Now, your drawing may be looking a little confusing, but you essentially have the drawing there now. By taking my eraser, which I hope you all have, because we will be using erasers in this type of drawing, I'm now going to get rid of that horizon line because I don't see that because it's behind my cube. I can also get rid of these diagonals that go to my vanishing points because they're not actually part of my cube. I'm going to take them all the way back. Take these ones. And there we have a very simple cube shape sitting on our horizon line. Now you'll notice I don't see the top of the cube and I don't see the bottom of the cube because I've put it pretty much central in the middle of my page, just to keep it simple. I can also go in now and I can shade. Remember, if I choose my light source from previous lessons, I know light's going to come across here and I can actually shade in one side of my cube. I can start to create the illusion of form with light and shadow like we've been working on.